Hello, I am Chandu Nair, handling the course on marketing management. Now we'll have a look at a very interesting subject, the one on product management. This is something that has gained popularity over the last few decades and still remains very relevant. And it all starts off with really understanding what a product is about. So let's take a look at what this chapter covers. If you look at this chapter, we will try to figure out what exactly does a product mean, what are its various aspects and characteristics, some glimpse of the classifications, how do you look at differentiating the layers of the product that we have, the role very quickly of the product manager in the organization. And for this I would ask you to look at the textbook in far more greater detail, because this presentation just kind of goes through it in very skimpy detail, the various constituents of a product and how exactly are decisions made on products and the role of the product manager. So let's take a quick look at the product, and this is going to be the thrust of this video presentation, and I would urge you again and again to have a look at the textbook in a greater detail, number one. Number two, relate a lot of what is being said here to your personal life and experiences, and try to see how you can look at syncing this learning with what is your personal experience. So first and foremost, if you take a product, there are very clearly the very obvious characteristics that you can see, for example, in terms of form, size or shape. Mach 3, many of you might realize, refers to the Gillette blade. Today you have other things like the Quattro, which has 4 blades, or you have things like a shaving gel or any other kind of gel. Even toothpaste today come in the form of a gel, or you have something like a liquid. So there's something like a solid, something like a paste, something like a liquid. There are also features and characteristics that support or supplement the key function. For example, you could have, in the case of a washing machine, you could have side wash, you could have twin top, fuzzy logic, and so many other things. Similarly with cars, there are different versions of the same model even. There's also things in terms of performance quality, the level at which the product's primary performance might operate. There could be typically 4 levels: low, average, high and superior. In some cases there could even be more. Computers are a pretty good example of it, where you have different functionalities in terms of processing speed, or in terms of hard disk memory, or in terms of graphics and so on and so forth. And similarly for many other products. So the questions to ask is, does my offering produce higher performance, produce higher profitability for me? Is there a significant correlation between product quality and return on investment? Well, this is something you have to consider. If you are giving very high performance but are not able to charge too much for it, then maybe you are in a little bit of trouble. Maybe you are over engineering your product. Sometimes companies get far better returns with just good enough quality. So this is a constant battle and a constant debate that goes on, and this is something that you really have to understand. So continuing with the product, there are several aspects to it. For example, there's a very important aspect called conformance quality, which means that does it meet the specifications that a customer looks for. For example, when I go buy a shirt, I would expect that the shirt has all the buttons in place, the collar is stiff and nice. So there are some basic expectations and specifications that I have for a product. Are those being conformed to by your offering? Secondly, durability, in terms of being able to meet the normal expectation of a life of a particular product. If a shirt doesn't even last one wash, maybe it's not a good shirt as far as I'm concerned. Third, that in terms of reliability, this is especially so in cases of products that you're using. Example, I'm a student and I'm taking a pen. I would expect that the pen, the ink flows and it comes out clearly and legibly on the exam paper. If it doesn't, I think it's an unreliable product. Fourth, repairability, which means if there is a problem, does it lend itself to being corrected or being repaired and made to work again? If it doesn't, I might consider it quite a problematic product, depending of course on the nature of the product. For example, if it's a banian or a vest, I expect that I don't expect to have performance problem. I just expect it to perform the function of covering me in a certain manner. If there are holes in the vest, obviously I am going to junk it and I think you are a useless supplier. Then there is the issue of style, the look and the appearance. So that is also important, especially for certain kinds of products which are lifestyle or high touch products. Now increasingly people are finding that differentiation on account of products is becoming narrower and narrower, with most major global players being able to match each other specification for specification, attribute by attribute. And a key aspect on which people are increasingly differentiating is on the intangibles. Intangibles, a critical component is service, because service makes a difference in several areas. For example, if you take online marketplaces, online purchases, e-commerce is becoming more and more common, not just in the certain areas like travel and all that, but even in certain things even like vegetables in places abroad, and increasingly it's happening in certain pockets in India. So is it easy for me to order? So one way is, am I giving the option of online marketing? The Indian Railways, for example, allows you to purchase your tickets online, thus saving you considerable bother and trouble of going physically to the railway station to buy your tickets. So there's a huge amount of convenience and saving of time, and for which they charge you a certain fee. Or in terms of delivery, Dell supplies it to you directly at your doorstep instead of you're going to a shop and having to pick it up yourself. In addition, will the product be made to function by the supplier providing you facilities of installing it and making it run at your doorstep, at your place of work. Fourth is in terms of customer training. Do you get trained on how to use the product better? A number of companies, Eureka Forbes being very common, very popular for its work in the area of water filters and other kinds of products, especially in the household durable segment. The other way is by providing a lot of consulting services to come to users. For example, Cisco does a lot of work with respect to networking, routers and switches for the products it supplies, or in telecommuting, it has the popular WebEx service. Similarly with companies like Templeton in financial services, or in terms of maintenance and repair, making sure the products continue to function, continue to be reliable even after you purchase them. A lot of people like Caterpillar, for example, in certain construction equipment, etc., do this pretty well. And then there are various other kinds of miscellaneous services, home delivery, which our local kirana or local provision store does pretty well even today.